Hi. Mine's a pretty simple story that won't take that long because it's something I've said yes to, but hasn't happened yet. So yeah, basically, a couple of things happened. My cousin had diabetes since she was 7. I always remember that she couldn't eat chocolate when the rest of us like had selection boxes at Christmas and stuff. And then it just sort of got worse. She had a baby when she was about 25, 26, and her body was like really the diabetes had sort of done a lot of damage, and she actually had a heart attack because she gave birth, and so she was pretty unhealthy. But anyway, going along, and then she got it turned into renal failure, kidney disease, and whatever. So she needed a kidney basically, and I was out in Italy, and I kept seeing that she would post a Facebook status that was like, "We've got a kidney match." She needed a kidney and a pancreas, so that was the problem. That was why I couldn't donate. She needed a kidney and a pancreas, which I didn't know at the time. She would turn up to the hospital. It would get flown in from somewhere or whatever, and it wouldn't be a match, or the pancreas wouldn't have survived because it can't stay out of the body for long enough for a long time. Otherwise, it can't be then transplanted. Whatever, she had this like 9 times before she finally, and she was getting like grayer and paler and really on death's doorstep. She lived on a dialysis machine. She couldn't really do anything with her son. And I didn't know about the pancreas, so I sent her a message, and I was like, I'm not blood related to her because my mum was adopted, but I said, we could be a match. Let's go and get, you can have it. It's no problem. And she said, well, I need a pancreas, and that can't come from a living donor. Someone needs to die and then say that they'll donate their organs when they die. So I was like, okay, it's a non-starter. And then a friend of mine, probably a load of you know, Alice Green, who lives in Liverpool now, she had donated her kidney just because she heard that living donation was a thing that you could do. And she thought, why not? And I was like, what actually does it matter? If I was prepared to send a message and say, you're my cousin, have my kidney. Of course you can have my kidney. What does it matter who it is? Because everyone is someone's cousin. Even if they're not my cousin, it's someone's cousin. And the person that donated to my cousin saved her life, basically. I was like, what does it matter if I know the person, actually? So I decided to do it anyway. So last August, I walked into the hospital where I knew my friend had she donated her kidney in Guy's Hospital in Liverpool. I think they got a bit of a shock because I went into the kidney clinic and they were like, hi there, do you have an appointment? I was like, no, but I would like to give you my kidney if you want it. And they were like, whoa, okay, we're going to get the lady who deals with that to come and talk to you. So this lady was like, okay, here's some leaflets and stuff. That's great. I told her I knew Alice, and you don't get many, it's called an altruistic donation when you don't know the recipient. So I don't get many per year. So when I mentioned Alice's name, they were like, oh yeah, we know Alice, she's awesome. So they gave me some leaflets and they said, why do you want to do it and all the rest of it? And I was like, I don't know, I can. I have 2 and I know I can live with 1, and my friend did it and she lives with 1 and she did 3 ultra marathons already this year. So I have 1. Like, for me, it's not really a thing that needs an awful lot of thought. It's not that I'm being flippant about it, but for me, it's just a bit of a non-starter. Like, I have to. I can live with 1, so have it. Someone can have it. If there's a person that is gonna die, why wouldn't I give them a bit of my body that I can live without? So for me, it's just a really obvious thing that doesn't need much thought. But anyway, you go through, they need to check your health. So the first thing you do is you go in and you spend a whole day. They inject you with radiation, which makes you feel temporarily like Spider-Man. It's very cool. And they take your blood once an hour. You need to wee. Like, I've weed into more little plastic tubes, and I can tell you every time I go in just for like a psychological assessment so that they can ask me what are my reasons and blah blah blah. I need to pee in a little clip. They own so much of my urine. Anyway, so you wee into a bowl. You also take a thing, something that goes into your system, and then you wee every whatever, so they can see how fast your kidneys process stuff through your body to see if they're good enough kidneys to donate. They also inject you with the blue dye and then rush you straight into the x-ray room, and they x-ray you as it moves through your body, which is weird. they also give you an injection, which makes you feel like it tastes like metal in your mouth, and it definitely feels like you've wet yourself. So they're like, you're going to get a warm feeling in your crotch, and sure enough, you do. And you think, I know they tell everyone that you're going to feel like you've wet yourself, and you haven't really. But there's a first time for everything. I could be the first person that actually did wet myself. Thankfully, I hadn't. So lots of x-rays, could you be pregnant, all this stuff. And lots of talking about things with strangers that's not very normal. When was your last period and all this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, basically they said, yeah, to mine and everyone else's surprise, they said, you're healthier than the average healthy person your age, which I wasn't expecting because I eat a hell of a lot of cake. And then they said, yeah, you're fine. Yes, there's increased risk, which is what everyone first asks me. So my risk of getting kidney disease right now is 1 in 300,000. When I give one of my kidneys, the risk increases to 1 in 250,000, which for me isn't an increase enough to put me off doing it. And all these are the sort of numbers and percentages that they throw at you. They also get you to sit with a surgeon who describes in detail what he's going to do in the operation, just so you know for definite there's no surprises. So he's like, great, we're going to take your left one. For me, they're going to take my left one. We'll make a little incision here, and then we just need to squidge all of your other body parts out the way, and then I'll reach in my hand, and we need to cut the things that attach your kidney into your body, and then I'll just pop it out, no biggie. He didn't say no biggie, I added that poetic license. So we do have a bit of a problem in that I had an operation a couple of years ago where they had to stitch part of my colon. They had to sort of attach it to my muscle inside my body because it had twisted. So I said, but I think you can't just squidge my body parts out the way because they're fixed. He's like, yeah, we noticed that. We're going to have to be creative. So I don't know what solution they came up with yet. But anyway, yes, they just push my other organs out the way, grab the kidney out. And then, yeah, and then that's it. And then I have bed rest for anywhere between 6 weeks and 3 months, depends, every person's different. And then I'm probably healthy again. And once a year, they'll do a very intensive medical check on everything, just to double check that there's no, look for early warning signs, anything, kidney disease, whatever. So actually, probably if anything did happen, they would pick it up sooner than if I didn't do the donation, because I wouldn't go in just for a little ache or pain, but I would definitely go in for my annual checkup because I know, you can't mess with this stuff. So yeah, so you get like top priority treatment if you donate a kidney, because obviously you gave them a bit of your body. Yeah, so the last thing I had to do, so I was living over in Italy, and the last thing I had to do on March the 2nd was walk into the hospital, speak to a legally independent assessor person who was going to ask me if I understood what I was doing, make sure I hadn't been paid for it, make sure I had the right reasons, and then they would legally say, yes, the law says that this donation is allowed to go ahead. So they're separate from the hospital. That was the plan. So I fly back on the Thursday before this from Northern Italy. And I called the hospital on Friday and I go, just a heads up, guys, it's March and I just flew back from Northern Italy. Should I come to the hospital for independent assessment? And they said, yeah. And then they called me the next day and they said, we just paid attention to the news. No, you should not come in. So I'm still waiting for that final hurdle. I can't go into a hospital. I've now been in the UK for 2 months, but now the hospital basically aren't doing anything apart from dealing with corona, because obviously that's where all the attention needs to be. So at the moment, I should have gone on the National Register for Donors on the 17th of April. And at any point after the 17th of April, the first person they found who was a match for me, I would have then had the operation. But now, obviously, they said just everything's on hold. And as soon as we can do other stuff again, we'll sit you on the register and find you a match. So yeah, so I'm just hanging out and waiting. So my yes is a bit of a weird yes in that I've done it all. I'm like mentally psyched up and prepped. I should probably be bed bound now and getting waited on hand and foot with tea and chocolate and stuff. But I'm not. I'm just bouncing around and I'm still healthy and fine. And I said this yes that I can't actually do anything about. So yeah, so that's my story really. And although it's something that I don't know, it's the first time I've really spoken about it in public. That's what you can call this. But the reason why I sort of got the idea was because a friend of mine wrote blogs about it and talked about it, the Alice who donated her kidney. And while I like sort of feel about talking about it, because it feels like I'm like saying, like, guys, listen to how cool I am. I'm so kind and selfless. Like, for me, it really isn't that. It's just a logical thing that I can, so I'm gonna. So I feel a bit weird talking about it publicly, but I'm doing so because if anybody else along the way hears about it, or hears about it from someone else who heard me talk, and decides to also do it as well, like, literally, is there anything more superhero than saving someone's life? And so in a sort of knock-on effect type of way, I'm sort of thinking, like, get used to talking about it in public because somebody else might want to do it, and that would be nice. So yeah, that's the end of my talk.